pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, so we want to start with the reorganization?
Yeah.
Okay.
How did this go before we had a town administrator?
I think it was the same till we reorganized.
Yeah, okay.
Okay. So we're appointing a chair first?
Yeah.
Sounds good.
I'm gonna appoint Wally.
Okay.
I'll second it.
Nominate.
Nominate.
Nominate, yeah.
Oh, yeah. I second it.
Okay, and vice chair?
All those in favor?
Are all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, now
Now I take over?
now,
Or do we complete that?
Let her go through this part of it and then you take over the main meeting.
Okay.
okay. So does anybody want to nominate a vice chair?
I mean, I would say Andy. I would nominate Andy.
Okay.
Okay, I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, and highway commissioner?
I think Wally's done a good job as highway commissioner. We'll nominate Wally.
Okay,
I'll second.
All those in favor?
all those in
Aye.
favor?
Aye.
Sorry, I'm writing at the same time.
That's okay.
Buildings commissioner?
I'm gonna keep Miss Sherry on that. I'll nominate her.
Okay, Kristen nominates.
I'll second.
Thank
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Who seconded that?
Me.
Wally. Okay, water and sewer commissioner?
I'll nominate Andy.
With the intent that Alan's still
Yes.
working tandem.
Yep.
So, second.
Do we do co-chairs at the same time?
Yeah.
Yeah, nominate Andy and Alan.
Andy
Okay.
and Alan.
I'll second.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And playground, parks, playgrounds, and cemeteries.
I nominate Kristen.
Commissioner.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay. So did you want me to keep going with the appointments or?
I mean, Wally can take over.
Okay.
for 10 minutes.
Okay.
You'll want to do ambulance and police.
Oh,
Oh,
I was
yeah,
not,
police
was
and
it?
ambulance.
He's a guest.
Okay, so ambulance
You'll
is the
nominate
commissioner.
Alan.
I'll second it.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
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 Well, like with water, I hope we can work together.
No, I don't think it's a problem, Alan.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, all those in
Aye.
favor?
I haven't been too bad, have I?
Aye.
Aye.
Fire, is it fire too? Or is that,
Ambulance and fires.
You-
ambulance and fire
Yeah.
is the same thing?
Yeah.
Okay. Sure. And then the next one was
Police and garbage.
police and then garbage.
Mhm.
Who did that before?
I think the whole board did the police.
Yeah, we did, but look how well that turned out.
What's that mean?
It's kind of beyond our control.
I know. It's just, it's,
I mean, everyone's hands are tied in Franklin County when it comes to
yeah,
that.
pretty much, yeah. Everybody.
So the board.
Yeah.
Yep.
All on board in favor?
All in favor?
I'm just teasing.
And then garbage.
And is that something that we should have one person, or should we have a couple, or should it be overseen by the board?
I think we can have one person monitor it. Is that something you're interested in, Kristen?
Yeah, I'll do that, for sure.
So who's nominating?
I nominate
Well-
Kristen.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And when we say trash, that's not the town solid waste coordinator, that's a separate.
That's
position.
separate,
Yeah,
yeah,
that's
we'll
right.
get to that one.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Do we have any appointments for animal control?
Tracy.
Tracy Overhead.
All those, do we nominate for these?
These are appointed,
So,
so you're appointing, but I think you all have to be in favor.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Do we have any appointees for health officer?
Teresa Leonard.
Teresa Leonard?
Mm-hmm.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Regional Planning Commissioner representative?
So it was Rowena, but I think you stepped down from that
I stepped down last March.
last March.
So there's two positions two vacancies for that,
On that commission?
yes.
Do we have any appointees interested in, can anybody think of anybody?
It's really a good one for the select board to be a part of. They do have their meetings both in person and with Zoom. They meet the last Wednesday of every month except for August, and the November one is sometime either end of November or first part of December, depending on when Thanksgiving falls. And it's usually like a Christmas party, they have a nice dinner, and then they have a little bit of a short business meeting as a part of that. It's very good as far as finding out what grants are out there, what's going on, the networking with other town officials, what other towns are seeing as problems, if they've come up with solutions. One of the things they had a discussion once about all the tires that people are picking up on Green Up, and they worked a way out to get some of those to be taken by the solid waste district, for free up to a certain amount, and then at a discounted rate for the towns to do it. They'll give you where's a good place to buy salt and sand and things like that, so you get that through the networking. So it's really would be advantageous to either have somebody from the select board or somebody maybe on the roads crew or something to do that.
I mean, I feel like, I'll just say, I feel like that would be, I don't know how full your plate is, Marissa. I just feel like part of that would be some of
Are they
the
evening meetings?
coordinating.
Their evening meetings usually 7 o'clock. The in-person ones are usually either in St. Albans or Swanton. But like I said, they are trying to do a hybrid where they have Zoom and
So you don't
In
have to
person.
travel down there.
Yeah, if I could do Zoom, I could probably do it if they were at night.
I just think you're gonna have the most information of the daily
And
operations of things.
If you're fine with that, and maybe we could find a secondary to,
Piggyback it if it needed, yeah, to be
Right.
in person.
I mean, your child's only getting a little older, sports are gonna be coming up.
Yeah,
So let's put, if you're fine with it,
yeah, that's fine.
and everybody's in favor of Marissa,
Yes.
and can you bring this back up, this position back up next month,
Okay.
and we'll see if we can come up with some, I can see if there's any interest on the road crew.
Okay.
Would we pay or give somebody on the road crew if they attended, like just offset hours? Or would it be like a volunteer position?
Normally that's what these are.
Is volunteer? Okay, just curious. Richford Revolving Loan Fund, term of 2 years.
So those are the names listed on the list are the 3 people that are up
Okay.
for reappointment.
And Rowena, John, are you still interested in continuing? And do you believe Mary Ann has an interest in continuing?
Yes, she is. I've talked to her.
Then I propose we keep the officers the same, Mary Ann, Rowena, and John.
I'll second
Yep.
it.
Right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I guess I didn't know this was one road foreman. I guess I
Jason.
nominate Jason.
Yeah. Second.
Town ambulance manager.
That's kind of like, that's the head of service now, basically, Alan,
Okay,
you'd be
that's
over.
that-
Yeah, it says
sounds-
in the book from last year, it says the town, so.
Right, so,
Yeah.
select board.
Select board, okay.
Select board.
That's it. Alrighty. Town attorney, any discussion there about keeping Brian Monahan as a town attorney?
Okay.
Any opposition? All those in favor?
Aye.
Right,
Town energy coordinator,
So in the book from last year, it says Daniel Parsons. I'm not really sure.
I think, that means he's like our Vermont Electric representative?
No, I think there's a committee that was with Northwest Regional and stuff that they did. And Northwest Regional, it was something towards the end of when I was with it, that they have a committee set up, there's Northwest Regional people, and then Dan would have been somebody from the community that they brought in on the board. I
Okay,
think that's what it
Okay.
is.
Well, I mean, I will throw Dan's name out there again.
and then I can just get a hold of him.
I'm sure he'll, there's something that's in his wheelhouse he likes to do.
so
Okay,
I'll second that.
it,
All those in favor?
yeah. Aye.
Town tree warden. Does anybody know exactly what the town tree warden does?
And it's Dan Parsons again too, he's in
Alright,
the book,
oh,
so.
I nominate Dan Parsons.
Second.
I think they're watching out for like those worms.
I think it's a historic position that has,
Yeah, but,
Historically, a tree
The ash
warden
borer?
governs the
Yeah.
boundaries.
the
I
boundaries.
think that's what they were
Okay.
looking.
Tree is responsible for.
Oh, I see.
You want
Uh,
the fire warden and the solid waste coordinator, skip that.
Oh, sorry, I wrote Dan Parsons in the wrong name, in the,
So in the book, last year it was Paul Martin and Andy Pond.
And Paul's not signed up anymore.
Okay.
He didn't want anything to do with that.
So, do you have to have 2 or was there just 2?
We, for the longest time, we had one. It makes it nice to have two in town if someone's out.
Mm-hmm.
are you interested in continuing?
Yeah, I'll
Okay,
continue.
I'll nominate.
Seconded.
And do you have any recommendations for a second?
Not off the top of my head, not right now.
Well,
I can bring it up to another meeting.
Yeah.
yeah,
And the solid waste coordinator was vacant. So you have to appoint somebody more.
So if the person's gonna be involved with trash, which is a
That makes sense.
role, yeah.
Is it a monthly meeting?
I believe, is that at least
I
monthly?
think it's monthly, that's the letter.
Okay, perfect.
I'll nominate Christine.
Okay, second it.
all those in favor?
Aye.
And it is. You've done tree warden, Dan Parsons. TAC, that has been me in the past. I have not been very good about attending these meetings. For a multitude of reasons, but mainly because I think it's it's an opportunity for many retirees to visit, I think. So I find it frustrating, but I will continue to be a representative, and if we have a second,
I'll second it. Oh,
no, I
I'll
meant
make
like, I meant if there's anybody, somebody else that would like to attend as well. But yeah,
I'll nominate you.
okay.
I'll second that.
And I mean, we don't need to, but I mean, I think if there's an interest, we can, because I backed up Tim Green initially.
Wanna do the memorandum first?
Yes, but let's do the delinquent tax sale attorney has been Von Homo, correct? Do you want,
Yes,
do we want to continue with that,
I
Kylie?
would like to continue with that, yes.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
So who's seconding it?
I'll second it.
Before we go to the Fire Associate nominations, I'd like to bring up the memorandum of understanding that we worked on last week between the town of Richford and the Richford Fire Association. I'll go ahead and read it. This is a memorandum of understanding between the Richford Selectboard and the Richford Fire Association, recognizing that the fire wardens recommended to the board are the fire chiefs. The Richford Fire Association will bring before the board 3 names for consideration for fire chief. So Andy brought it to the Richford Fire Association, and we have their signatures. So if the board is in favor of this memorandum of understanding, do I have a
A second?
I guess a
A
first?
first?
Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay. Then I'll sign and we can pass it around for signature.
All in favor, right?
All those in favor? I'll get that.
Aye.
Okay. The Richford Fire Association, this is a letter from the Richford Fire Association dated March 15th. The Richford Fire Association met on the 13th to nominate 3 fire wardens, aka fire chiefs, for the 2024-25 year.
Yeah.
I'll make that correction, if you're fine with that, Andy.
I'm good with that. I'll talk to our secretary.
The following nominations are Andy Pond, Shelby Paquette, and Colby Tanner. So I guess we have to decide on first a fire chief, and then we will make a selection for first and second fire chief.
Oh,
Nominate Andy
Yes.
first.
So
for fire chief, yes.
we have a nomination and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I abstain for this.
Yes, obviously. And then are we good with the other 2 nominations?
I guess I would also ask if Andy is good with the other 2 nominations.
The association voted them in, so I'm not gonna go against the association. I'm good with it right now.
And do we decide on first? Do we decide on the first or second, or do we let our fire chief not make those selections?
I would say the fire chief.
I would say that.
Yeah.
Isn't that
Yeah.
what
So
our-
we will. So do we have a nomination, or I'm not sure that's the correct word, but
To accept those other 2
Yes.
as the assistants?
yes.
I'll make a motion.
We have a second.
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So who are you nominating as first?
We're not.
No, we're not.
You're not,
That's-
he's
yeah.
going to, okay.
We're just
Okay,
We're nominating
so you're
for
accepting the
assistants.
2
Yes.
the 2 names?
Yeah.
Okay.
Marissa, that completes our reorganization and appointments.
town constable.
Okay.
Yeah, no one got voted in for either the moderator or the town constable,
So
and those
I'm
are both
thinking-
elected positions, so I think that the board has to
Appoint.
appoint. Or do we have to, how does that work?
Will Darlene accept another year of it?
We can ask and bring it back to the board.
I think
Yeah.
that's probably the proper way.
So we'll ask,
Yeah, ask Darlene. Anyone got any ideas for town constable?
Jeremy told me to mention, I'm abstaining from it, but he said to mention if there was nobody else that he would do it for another year.
I'll make a motion that Jeremy takes it for another year then.
Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Kylie, do you see anything else that was missed?
I think we captured pretty much everything.
Okay. So now we'll recognize guests. Robert, do you have anything today?
No, just visiting.
Okay. John?
Yes.
Sorry, Joey.
Oh, John, you can have that, I'll be, I had just one question.
Okay. John?
I'm just representing the, planning commission, to change the zone district for you to purchase land on Harvard Hill.
Okay.
This is the public notice that we worked with regional planning to develop. The hearing is on April 8th at 6 o'clock. Once they have their hearing, they have to send it to you and you need to hold a public hearing also. And after your public hearing, if there's no, big objections, you can adopt it,
Okay.
the change.
So we have to basically have a similar warning to this go out after it comes to us?
Yes, it has to, in the paper.
Yeah.
And because nobody hardly reads the newspaper today, I'm sending a letter to the 14 or 15 property owners this is gonna affect.
Okay.
And it's really a minor effect on anybody, because ag is less restrictive than rural residential is. So it'll have very little effect on any of the property owners.
Okay. Thank you, John, for helping us out with this. Alright.
And another thing, 1977 Corliss Road came up at the last meeting. I sent the people a formal violation, and last week a gentleman came in and said he's in the process of purchasing the property, that he's living in the little cabin, he called it there, that nobody's living in the camper that is there. The woman that owns the property doesn't live here anymore.
Okay.
And I told him he had to fill out permits, and because it's it's forest conservation, he would have to have a public hearing to get permits for anything that he does up there. And he took applications, and I told him what it's gonna cost, so we'll have to wait and see if he comes back.
Thank you.
And one other thing, for the groundskeeping, I think we need to take over caring for the war memorial. The town owns that little piece of land. I'm sure when the bank gave it to the town, and I looked it up, one was either 1949 or 50, they never dreamt that the bank wouldn't be there, because of course it was the local owners then of the bank. And it wasn't mowed very good last summer, it was never cleaned up last fall. For being the war memorial, I think we need to keep that clean around there. So I think we need to have our groundskeeper clean that
Who
up.
currently takes care of that?
Well, John Weatherby does, whoever, he, owns the building, he works for them, but they do it not very often, every once in a great while. All last summer it would go weeks and weeks at a time, it was never mowed.
How big of a spot do we own, just around the memorial?
The whole piece,
That
right up
whole
to the
piece.
building,
Right up to the building, to the
stone wall.
stone wall all the way around?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say we need to take care of that then, if we own it. That way we're guaranteeing it's being taken care of properly.
I mean, all the years the banks were there, they kept it,
Right.
beautifully kept up.
Right.
But
So,
So that'd be part of the parks and
I can
playgrounds.
talk to Deer Run.
yeah, it just,
Yeah,
it might
the
require
attitude.
another addendum to their contract. Okay.
Okay,
okay, that's it.
awesome.
Rowena?
A few things. I did notice, in your minutes, where you talked about the town cleaning up in the park and making sure the doggy bags were there. Thank you very much for getting that. That's gonna be a positive thing if they're able to keep up on that. On that same, piece, people have been kind of mentioning the Priest block and, how there was some work done. Apparently, it's something that you wanna use for putting extra snow when we have which is good. But is it gonna be addressed during the springtime or something to get the logs and just kind of spruce it up a little bit? So
Yeah,
A lot of garbage in there.
We need to get in there. I think Jason's plan was to be able to freeze, obviously we thought we'd be using it this year, but we just never had any snow and the ground never froze. So I think that's all kind of a combo, and it was wet last year. So I will make sure it gets taken care of this year. Hopefully it dries out so they can get out there a little easier without making too much of a mess, and that has to be fixed. But I will mention it to the town crew.
And on that same note, I know it was discussed about changing the rental agreement, but there is the property that the town leases at the end of Willow Street. Has anything gone forward as far as considering putting that change into their agreement? And because there's been, that's,
Yeah,
its location is really hard
Yeah.
to block out anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good question. I shared the revised lease agreement with the individual. To your knowledge, Marissa and Kylie, he's never dropped it back off, correct?
I don't believe so.
No.
So does that have a binding effect? I mean, that's if it's unsigned.
I think we'd want it signed because
Well, I can
the
go again.
agreement says it has to be updated every year.
Yeah, but I mean, if there's he does. So if he doesn't sign it, maybe we go with the second person. That way, there's two. And if it's not signed, then we just say it's gonna be canceled. Something to that effect.
Yeah.
Okay.
We can send like a notice.
Yeah,
You can send out
Yeah, we can
another.
send it registered. I guess I hand delivered it and
Yeah.
spoke with the individual
Yeah,
last time.
registered.
So can you send that?
Yeah.
You still have it on
Yeah.
in your file. Yeah. Okay. Anything else?
Yeah. I believe it was the 21st of February when this board adopted the Declaration of Inclusion.
Yeah.
First of all, is that printed anywhere where it's like on the website or anything? I could not find it. Second of all, and I should have addressed it at the exact moment that it happened at the town meeting. One of the good things that came out of the situation was I was told that somebody has made arrangements so that we have the audio system there. But the person, when a person said they couldn't hear, and I talked to other people, and there's several people who are saying they didn't hear everything, and they had some trouble hearing. It, in my biased opinion, goes against the inclusion statement when you go and tell somebody, well, if you can't hear, sit up in the front. And I'm sorry, but I had some stuff where I was up there in the front and I was having trouble hearing people. So it's kind of my take on this. If you're going to adopt a statement like that, you should try to follow it. And I mean, we're all human, we all make mistakes and stuff, but the person that comment was made to stated that they felt like they were put down from it. And so maybe a note of apology to that person might be in order, because I don't think it was the intention to do that, but that's what happened.
Fair enough.
So, that's it.
Eric?
Meeting or two ago, I brought the request to the board to enter into an agreement with NEMRIC so that they would help us get ready for 2023-2024 year, or 2024-25 year. And you all agreed that that was doable. I've given Marissa the document for the chair's signature.
Have it here.
Is everybody on the board still in favor of this?
Does it specify how many hours we're agreeing to? Because as I recall, it was
It's
like
open.
$95 an hour.
It's $95 an hour.
Does this agreement specify how many hours we're signing
No, it
up?
doesn't specify how many hours,
So,
nor is it binding.
so we're not locked into
We're
anything?
not locked into anything. We could choose not to do it and we would be fine.
So we could just, you can use them if you need them?
Yes.
10 hours or 5
And
hours.
the pay for that would be coming out of what would be allotted to Kim were she here.
Okay.
So we have that coverage. We are initially going to use them to make sure that all our 100 and some odd permits made it through by April 1st, because that picks up a lot of improvements to property and grand list values.
Are they gonna use, like that lady that did the reappraisal, she's familiar with our town now.
Yeah,
Are they gonna try to use some of those people that know
Gene
something about the
Wilson
town,
and
or?
Kevin Grassi will be the two, and Kevin did most of our mapping and, not mapping, sketches for properties. Yes, we're gonna use people who are already familiar. And we're also gonna ask them to come back during grievance, because we have at least 2 commercial properties that are gonna grieve. We've already been told, so. And no one knows commercial better than NEMRIC does. Unfortunately, we never had a commercial database until this reappraisal. And now we have 20 some odd properties that are considered commercial and run on our different database. So still a learning curve for us.
And do you foresee using this in the immediate future to get caught up?
Yes. So that when we put out our grand list this year, we'll have used them somewhat for the.
Anybody else want to look at it quickly?
It makes it's the actual document beyond the contract lists all the tasks
Yeah.
that a lister does. So if that's something you ever wondered what it is we do, it's quite
It looks comprehensive.
quite a list there.
The $95 is on the second page, Alan. Does anybody else have any thoughts or discussion on this? Kylie?
Did they start today, Eric?
Yes. Well, he stopped and picked up the documents today.
Yeah, I saw them.
And we
Where are they
brought,
traveling from?
Sheldon. It doesn't have very far to go, of course. And if we needed Jean, she'd be coming down from Charleston.
Do I have a motion to enter into this contract?
I'll make a motion to enter into the contract with NEMRIC.
Do I have a second? All those in favor?
Alright.
With their help, you think you'll be ready for,
We have to be by law.
okay, that answers that. Now for the, oh, Joey, I'm sorry.
I have one question for Alan, Sherry, and Andy. With you two stepping down, does it mean everything that you did now I have to go to Andy, or go to Alan? Supplies, oxygen. I'm just asking how that's gonna all work, cause I've always gotten approval for the ambulance supplies and stuff through,
I guess I would say either me or Andy, because I'll be honest, I don't know what supplies you need.
so I wouldn't need your cell phone number, cause I usually take, so I will do my order. And then I send a text to them two usually. And then I get from one of the two of them, I get an approval, go ahead and order your supplies. And
As far as the oxygen, I'm pretty sure that,
I have
If
their
you-
number, I can start calling and ordering.
yeah,
them
that's
oxygen.
what I'm
Did you
saying.
order this week's?
No, cause they call me tomorrow.
Okay. If
For
you wanna just give
Wednesday
them my
silver.
number,
Huh?
if you wanna give them my number, I can call and order my oxygen, it's not a
I
big
can
deal.
do that. Because I think, and then just let them know what you're ordering and they'll know.
So I think we all should have a conversation to figure out how we're all gonna work all this maybe. There's a little bit of it
Yeah, maybe we can talk for a bit.
after.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm okay with that, I'm here to do the whole thing.
Are there any other guests? No. Now for the approval of first, the March 4th meeting minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve March 4th minutes.
Have a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Now for the approval of the special meeting on March 14th.
I'll make a motion to approve them.
Have a second?
I'll second
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Highway report. Mud season. Jason feels we're turning the corner. It's things are starting to stiffen up a little bit. Still gonna be rough. I think on this topic, we do need to have a ARPA, maybe a special meeting just to discuss ARPA, how to use some of the ARPA funding. Because I have some thoughts about using some of the money for road infrastructure potentially, and just to see, but that's for a future discussion. Other than that, Marissa had posted the tractor and
I never got anything. on it.
never got anything on it yet.
When's that deadline on that?
It was March 11th and I
Yeah.
never received anything, so I can repost it if you want. me
Yeah,
to.
I would, and I mean, we're in no hurry, I mean, if it happens. And then there's a riding lawnmower that's sat idle for a number of years. My question, Jason and I were discussing, do we have to put everything out to bid, or can we just put a flat rate on, post it for a specific dollar amount? And if it goes, it goes.
I think legally we could put a price on it. I don't think it has to go out to bid.
Alright.
You know, we're not talking $1 million
No,
piece
we're
of
talking
equipment.
Right.
like a $400 price. So if nobody's opposed to that, I'll have Jason move forward with working with Marissa to post a riding lawnmower. I was able to, I think I have the grader training lined up, so hopefully that'll happen in May or early June. And I think the town crew was waiting to start work on the park and ride when it comes around. And did you discuss with Jason about the netting for the ball field?
Yeah, so he was thinking on how he can accomplish that. He wasn't quite sure how to go about it, so he said let him think on it and he'd get back to
I mean, I'm sure if we acquired poles, we could get Vermont Electric to go in and drill holes for us. And we just make a pulley system to pull it up right behind the backstop. I don't think it has to be, we just can't do it the way we did it last year.
Right.
So, I mean, but this is their good, before they get busy with summer work, this is kind of the time they have availability.
I did tell him that, and that baseball is starting this week, so I did tell him.
Okay. Other than that, I can't. He is getting you a second quote for the tree service.
Okay.
For the Troy Street Cemetery. I was very impressed with the first one. So I mean, I wouldn't be opposed to that one, but he is getting you a second quote.
Perfect.
That's all I have for highway. Buildings? Sorry.
Not a lot going on. I've got the glass priced out, waiting for the quote to come in. So I give it to Kylie for the door at the bank. They got kicked in. They give gentlemen's pictures all over the news, so they know who did it. We also have 2 doorknobs that we're working on with the locksmith to get replaced. One at the library and one here in the town hall. Besides that, we got 2 doors, big doors going in at the post office. They've been ordered. One down for the basement to get in and out down there easier, and then one up for the post office that's been rotting out for a few years.
What door at the bank did they kick
The
in?
glass door to the ATM.
What was it? That's never locked. Why would you?
Exactly. Either they did to destroy it. They didn't touch anything on the inside. They just shattered the glass.
I always wonder why they don't have that. At least the debit card swipe thing on the door.
They wanted easy access for people to be able to go in and out,
Yeah.
probably to avoid this situation.
Yeah.
But I'm assuming, but yeah.
Okay.
So, and that's gonna be 3 weeks out for the glass to come in.
Oh wow. And all your other projects are in line for the summer?
Marissa and I met with the architects about the garage, parking garage. They're gonna come up with some type of number for us for a planning on the infrastructure of it and what we would need to do with zoning, what we would need to do for access this way. So as soon as they give us a number, we would get back to the board with that.
I actually meant like the roof at the fire station and the work at the library is all set and ready to go.
Not all set, ready to go,
No,
we
but I
have
mean
the quotes.
plans, yeah, quotes
Yes.
and plans. Okay.
The problem is it's hard to get 3 quotes. So,
Okay. Is that it?
that's it.
Water and sewer?
Bond vote passed, that's big news. Other than that, I don't have much. You, Alan?
The only thing I have is, I met with Kylie, Marissa, and a lady from, I think it was an engineering firm, about our lead inventory on our
Okay.
water lines. And at some point, we're gonna have to make a decision if we're gonna hire a firm to do this inventory for us, or we're gonna do it ourselves by sending out letters and utilizing whatever information Jeremy had. It's something we're gonna be required to do. We have to try to determine if there's any lead pipes on our service lines to the house. What they do is we can either send a letter to the people and have the homeowner go down and look at the line coming into the house and tell us if it's PVC, plastic, brass, copper, whatever, and send the letter back to us. If we choose to hire a firm, I think it was $100,000 that they would cover the cost for, to have an outside firm do it for us. But it's something we got to do. I'm not sure about the effectiveness of it because the lines they're checking, they're not our lines, from the curb stop in. It's the homeowner's responsibility, and that's the line they're gonna be checking.
Okay.
But it sounds like we don't have a choice, we have to do it, so at some point we'll have to decide if we're gonna hire somebody or do it ourselves.
Is it eventually gonna be a concern where we have to, do we think we have lead pipe on the stuff that's ours?
That's what we
So
asked
I
the lady
think
and
this
she
is
wasn't sure.
Yeah, I think this is something they're doing all across the nation. I think Vermont's very low in it. Lane Simon actually stopped by the office today, and actually spoke to me about this very thing. I haven't had a chance to tell you about it. They're recommending that we do hire, an outside engineer to handle this. He said he would help guide us and give us, names of people, but it is something that the state is requiring that we do. It's like kind of phase one, we're gonna see, take the assessment of where all the towns are at, and then they're slowly gonna implement having.
So this is gonna require someone, third party, to go through and check every resident, basically.
Correct, he said Simons doesn't necessarily have the capability to handle the workload of it. Although, you know, documentation that Jeremy has at the water plant, you know, he'll have to provide a lot of information, but his recommendation is that we do hire someone.
It probably makes more sense, because, you know, your average person goes in the basement, they're gonna see a pipe coming in, they're not gonna know if it's brass, copper, or what the heck it is.
That was my concern, you know, the homeowner not knowing what material.
What exactly does lead look like? I mean, if it's been painted over the years,
I don't
you
know.
Well, and he described to me that lots of times they would use lead solder
Yeah.
in their joints and stuff, so I guess it's.
All of solder up until the 2000s was pretty much leaded.
Okay, so do we wanna move forward with it?
So what does that
Look-
mean for residents? Like if they do have lead from
See,
the
that was my-
curb to the,
That was my question to
then
the
that's the
lady,
homeowner's
because it's the homeowner's
responsibility?
pipe, and she made it sound like the town would have to.
They made it sound like the town would have to help fix it,
Yeah.
but not necessarily pay for it. So I think this is phase one, to just get everything documented and then go from there in terms of.
The lady wasn't very clear when I asked her that question about what happens if we find that she.
She didn't have an answer.
And the other question I had for her that I don't think she knew the answer to, and she kinda, was the private water lines. We don't own the lines, any of them, on the lines where we sell the people the water. Her initial reaction was, yeah, you gotta do an inventory on those, and it's like, why? They're not our lines. You know, the homeowners are responsible for everything, the mains, the service lines, everything. She initially said we would have to include those, but I think we'd wanna check a little further before we did that, because I don't think we wanna accept responsibility for lines that, you know, we don't own anything, not even.
So that'd be like that new extension up on Townhouse Hill, what is it, up by you, Alan? It goes down the back, down into the old meadow there?
Yeah, it'd be like Pinnacle Road.
Yeah, I would think it'd be under their
Yeah.
association or their
Yeah.
group that'd be
Yeah.
responsible for that.
Okay. So do we wanna move forward with looking for an engineer at this point?
I would say, let me gather some information and we'll bring it back to the next meeting.
Okay.
Yeah, I definitely dig further in those questions. 'Cause if we look at it and it's lead, and then the state comes back and says, well, we need to fix it, or you shut off the water line to it till they fix it, I mean.
The issue is, Sherry, this is mandated by the state and they're
Yeah,
requiring us to have
exactly,
it.
so we
I
should
would be
know
very-
exactly what,
I would be very surprised if they found any, because the lead is part of the testing that's routinely done, and
We
The-
had one, the recent test, what is it, a 10 or a dozen that they did throughout town, and we found one that was high, and we had to post it.
it could be because of an internal plumbing fixture, or
Yeah.
faucet, or an old
Yeah.
faucet or something. It might not necessarily be a service line.
right,
So I would think if we had service lines with lead, our testing would show it, and it hasn't.
Yeah. Okay. Anything else under water and sewer?
I don't have anything right now.
Parks, playgrounds, cemeteries?
I don't have much. I know that you guys are working on some quotes, Jason's working on some quotes for the cemetery as far as removing the other trees. I talked with Kylie briefly about looking into like some gravestone restoration, just because there was some damage that was done by the trees. So I'm currently talking with the cemetery association to see what we can do to get some reimbursement, or, you know, even how they would restore some of those grave sites. And then, what else did I read there? Oh, just the cameras. I know when I talked to Kylie, she alluded to maybe that your dad was looking into possibly some equipment for the rec center.
I got some updates for
Okay.
that.
So
So
if you wanna-
he's meeting, I believe, Wednesday with the camera guy on what they have and what should we get. So, do we wanna add cameras around town is gonna be a question. I do have update, Kylie's aware of this. My father was able to take the hard drive from down where the playground shed got broke in, and he brought it up to the station and was able to find out who did that.
Oh, wow.
The police know who they are and they have been served, So that's been taken care of, and he found the person that broke the window at the old Masonic building, and they've taken care of that,
I've
so.
also submitted some photos on my end to the
The
state
ones that I
trooper.
sent to you, yeah.
Note from the camera
Oh, okay,
that the person involved in the break of the window
okay,
over
yeah.
here, they were also involved in another
Oh,
vandalism.
okay,
So I submitted some photos to a state trooper
okay.
for those as well, so.
And once we have quotes, which, I'll want that camera quote too, if we have to get new, hardware down there.
Yeah.
We'll submit it to the state police.
So basically, the building was broke into, and the whole time that it was being broke into, it was filmed. Then the people realized that they were being recorded and put tape over the camera and took some of the equipment, but not the right equipment too. So, but,
Is there any way to relocate that all to one central area, like the town hall upstairs?
Well, that was something I had spoke with Archie about, as to with technology changing in the last 10 years, like what could we do that's more efficient versus having all that equipment down there? Like, is there something we can do?
and I think that's what he's gonna ask, right?
And the state police officer did say that he thought our camera system was actually pretty decent compared to some other communities that he's
Really?
tried to work within. Yep.
Okay. I'm just gonna point out, my dad does spend a lot of time with these cameras. Probably a simple thank you at some point. I'm not gonna go any further, so just,
Yeah, it is very time consuming trying to backtrack and clip out and
Yeah.
find.
and he does it quite often. I think he enjoys doing it, that's why he does it. I just wanted to make a point to the board. He does spend a lot of time.
Watch cameras is always that fun.
Town administrator update.
Okay, so, Kylie and Andy and I had all worked on the assistant to the firefighter grant that was submitted on March 8th. I think we all got information for that. Kylie submitted it on the 8th. We're working together to submit the highway paving grant again. And then I've been working on updating the fire department guidelines and policies, which I handed out to everybody after our meeting. So I got that draft. So if everyone wants to look at it and if there's any more updates that we wanna add. I don't know if we'll need another meeting for that.
I was gonna ask another meeting,
Another
just so I
special
could go
meeting.
through.
Yeah, and line by line again.
You want to table it till next board meeting, or you want?
You wanna set up a separate,
I'm all for tabling it until the next.
till the next board
Yeah.
meeting, okay? And that's all that I'm working on for now.
4th of July parade.
Yeah, so I asked Marissa to put this on the agenda just because I know last year it was kind of a catastrophe and I really don't want the same thing to happen again. So I'm willing to take the lead on going and getting participants again, as long as I know that we're gonna have some sort of security for the streets. Like, we definitely, I don't wanna wait till last minute, cause that's what happened. I had gone early in April and March and started talking to vendors, and then after, looking at the factors that happened the year previously around the streets not being shut down, and there was a lot of safety concerns from, you know, the pedestrians watching the parade, and, you know, I think just in general, there was a lot of safety. And so we, you know, talked last year with a security company. We paid out of pocket for that. I think it was like $750 for them to block off the streets. And if that's something we wanna do again, you know, I'd like to look into that earlier than later, just so that we have it. And also the route of the parade, I will say, I think that, you know, some of that could be changed. I think it's very lengthy, the length of the parade. I don't know how others are feeling around, you know, how the parade goes around town. I know a lot of it is around how they turn around. But, you know, maybe going down into Fred's area instead of going all the way down to like Noyes Street area. I don't know. I just think we need to think about it and talk about it. And I don't know if fireworks have come down, if we're, you know, looking at doing fireworks for the town again or not. So just wanted to get that on the table and get some suggestions and move forward with it.
Can I make a statement? Couple of things that's been through the years with the parade is, in the past, they tried to change the route. It's been decided on by the parade committee, and then whoever's the first one in the parade, they kind of make up their own mind of how the parade route's going to go. We've tried to have it that it went down to Fred's and ended there. Nope, somebody decided we're going the rest of the way around. Last year, what I noticed, and this was again, comes back to the communication, was the person that was running the blocking off traffic by the Dollar General, they were told that the parade was coming down Main Street and then turning onto Noyes Street. It didn't go that way. They're there sending traffic down Noyes Street right into the parade. And actually, yeah, when the police officer that was in front said something to him, they said, I was told it was coming from this direction. So you don't have the communication there. Also, one thing that happened 5 or 6 years ago that you need to think about is with the ambulance. They actually had a call, and the ambulance was trying to go to the call, and the parade was coming by, and nobody realized that, no, that ambulance is not a part of the parade, it's
Right.
trying to go somewhere. So, you know, that needs to be thought in too, to how do you communicate that the parade's gotta stop for a minute and let the ambulance, because with an ambulance going, you're talking minutes are a long time, and they need to get where they need to get to, so.
And is it possible to station the other ambulance outside of town, like on the periphery? I mean, yes, you might still have to come into town, you know, but I mean, if you had it stationed, you know, out by Dollar General or something, where you wouldn't have to, you know,
Or the Jolly or something.
I don't know, I mean, you'd be taking a chance, I mean, it could be on the other end of town.
It's possible you get a second duty crew on, you could do that, but then you're taking away from, you know, the rest of everything else that's going on.
I know, I understand. And I will say, the contractor we hired did say that they would like to have, like, cell service wasn't reliable enough for them to communicate across, and maybe have like a walkie-talkie system. I don't know if we have those available too, so they could talk around.
I do know if you looked into like actual flagging companies instead of security companies, like my brother works for Green Mountain Flagging. They come with everything they need, radios, cones, shutdown stuff, a security company, and there's also a legality issue with flagging, as fire department knows. There's supposed to be a course involved with shutting roads down and flagging and stuff. And a security company may not have that, and it could be a liability for the town. Whereas Green Mountain Flagging, or who's the other 2 or 3 that's around here, ADA, I think is another one. There's a bunch of them. They would be having everything and the insurances, and they would take all the liability on the traffic.
The other thing is pre-planning. I think before the parade, flag company needs to come here and, you know, everyone sign off on the route that's being done that day.
Yep.
And not just at the end of the day, which streets are we going down and, yeah, cause that's happened too much.
And could I offer a sideline?
Sure.
In the event that a road is gonna be closed, whether it's for a parade or water or sewer or whatever, contact your 911 coordinator so that they can, it's their job to contact all the people that you don't contact, the sheriff, the state police, emergency management, everything. There's a whole chain that they put out that from this time to this time, such and such roads are gonna be closed. And that seems to have fallen by the wayside in the last couple of years, for whatever reason.
So if you wanna take the lead, Kristen, and set up some preliminary meetings, maybe we can get some of the same folks to participate again.
I like the idea of flyers too.
Yeah, so is that the direction we wanna go, is looking into
Yeah, I
some
mean,
of these
if
flagging
it-
companies?
I mean,
Yeah.
if it's
Cause they do
affordable,
have to take a course.
Yeah.
And they
Right,
are
right.
trained, so it is their liability, it is all that, that made a lot of sense.
I mean, would they utilize, we still have the equipment as far as being able to like, the
Well,
dates
if
and stuff
if
like
there's an
that?
actual flagging agency,
We
they should
should
have
have
that
their
equipment. It's gonna save on all the other resources here in town if
Okay,
we don't have to deal with it.
so
okay.
we wouldn't have to put up the barriers.
Right.
And the
Yeah, they
flagging
would do
companies
it.
can bring they usually bring those LED boards at the beginning of the route, parade, they'll set them up like a day ahead of time, parade at this time, this road will be closed.
I mean, yeah, I mean, I get it, ultimately, it sounds like it's gonna be more pricey, but maybe it's
If
worth
they
it.
get a price for it,
Yeah.
take down
Okay.
some of the names
Okay.
and call them
Some of them might, being a town entity and a small nonprofit thing, they might even donate some of their time.
Okay.
Yep.
Anything else, Kristen? Other business? You did mention some executive, right, Kylie?
Employee stuff.
Employee stuff for executive. Is there any other business besides employee business?
Oh, just, the email that was sent right before this afternoon around John Grisham's, the contract for the sheriffs, is that something we wanna wait until we go tonight?
Yeah, I would say.
Okay,
I mean, I'm guessing there may have been some wind on that, somebody might have gotten some wind on that, and that's what prompted that email.
I see. Okay,
So if there's no other business, I move that do I have a motion to go into executive?
I'll make a motion. I'll second it.
Alright,